In this video, I'm going to keep everything in stepped, but I'm going to start to refine the shapes a little bit to make it all work a little better. But before I do that, I'm going to zoom in on his face so I can see it in more detail. And I'm not actually going to move the position of the camera. Instead, I'm going to use the 2D pan zoom tool. And by default, the hotkey for that is the backslash key. So if I press and hold that, then if I right click and hold, I can zoom in and out. And if I middle click and hold, I can move it around like this. So then I can position it to get it zoomed in and focused on what I want to see in detail. And I've let go of the hotkey, but it's still in this view. And you can kind of see here it says 2D pan zoom : shot cam. And if I want to go back to the non-zoomed in view, I can just tap the hotkey again and it goes back. If I want to get back zoomed in, just press the hotkey again. So now I'll make some fixes. And the first thing I'm going to try to fix is the 4. And I think the problem here is that the corners of his mouth are too wide. So instead of looking like he's saying 4, it looks like he's saying four. And that's no good. So I will just narrow the corners of his mouth a bit. And close his jaw a little. So now I'll scrub through and see if it helped. So I think it's better, and I'll probably make little adjustments later, but I think that solved the glaring problem of the incorrect mouth shape. So now I'm going to move on to the 10. And the problem here is this shape. His jaw is too wide open and the corners of his mouth are too narrow. So it looks more like an ah shape than an eh shape. So I'll close his jaw a bit and widen the corner of his mouth. And now I'll scrub through. Check it out. So that looks more like an eh shape to me. So I'll move on. And the next thing is the t shape when he's saying from 1 to 10. And here I feel like I made it too complicated. So I kind of forced this new shape in for the t sound. I kind of oohed out the lips. And I think it's just too complicated and unnecessary. So instead I'm going to treat this sound as more like a breakdown frame. So well, the first thing I'll do is take out the ooh. So now the ooh's gone, and I still want a shape change for that, for the t sound, but instead of oohing out the lips, I'm gonna make the lips, the corners of the mouth wider. So I'll widen them, and then that'll be the shape for the T sound when he's starting to say 10. So this will kind of be the new T shape. So I'm going to copy this pose back over to the T shape for 10. And now I have that pose on both of these frames. And I want it to be a breakdown, though. I don't want it to be like a held static pose for a few frames. That would be bad. So now I'm going to turn everything to linear and just delete these keys, and now his mouth is somewhere in the middle of those poses. It's a breakdown, so now I'll just key them again, and now these poses are different. So I'll step through. So okay, so this is the t sound, but I want more of a change, so I'll favor the wide towards the next key pose. So I'm just going to favor the value of the keys towards the value of the keys of the next frame. So, okay. So now I will turn it back into stepped and check it out. So I like that better. It's cleaner. There's not an extra unnecessary shape in there. It's just kind of it's a breakdown. And now I'm going to move on to the F shape when he's saying 5. So the F shape was getting lost in the body move because he was moving while he started to speak. So that's also when I changed the mouth shape, but then you can't see the mouth shape because the body's moving. So what I'm going to do is just move the mouth shape a little bit sooner so you can see that shape before his body moves and then everything gets lost in the move. So I'll just use the hotkey to bump it over a couple frames. So in order to see it, I needed to offset the mouth from the body a little bit, and I'm cheating the mouth slightly early instead of cheating the body slightly late relative to the sound, because I found that when you're going to cheat, it's easier to get away with it if you cheat the pose slightly before the sound instead of slightly after. So I'm just going to move the mouth up a little bit, and here I might have gone too far, but I'll kind of work that stuff out when I get into spline. But that's it for now. And now I'm going to move on to creating a flow between the mouth shapes. So and like working on the corners of the mouth and getting arcs. Now I'm going to go back to frame 1, and the first mouth movement that's happening is it's kind of starting a little bit high in the smile, and he's saying from wa, and when he's saying from wa, his mouth is starting high and kind of going low throughout that move. So I want to start to create a smooth flow from high to low, and if I step through, you can see that this pose and this pose, the mouth is at the same height. So what I'm going to do is use this controller. This is my mouth position mover. So I'm going to cheat this one. Well, not cheat it. I'm going to move it up just a little bit, so it's a little higher than it was. And now when he goes into the F shape, there's a hint of downward movement, and that helps with the flow because it's going to be flowing down. So here it's getting even lower, and then kind of hard to tell exactly what was happening there because he's moving his head. But from here to here, there's no flow anymore. The height of the mouth is exactly the same. So I'm going to move it down, and so now the height of this mouth is higher than the height of the mouth here. So it's still from here going to the next frame, it's moving down, and the teeth are getting a little strange. So I'm going to cheat the teeth down a little bit, and sometimes you can get away with it. You want to watch out and make sure you can't really see that the teeth are moving independent of the jaw, but that's something I'll look for later once I spline it out. But right now I'm just going to try to position the teeth how I want them, and hopefully hide the cheat in the move. So, but that's what I'm going to do for now. So here it's still going down, and then when he opens up on wa, it's, let's see. So yeah, that works. It's flowing down, and then he kind of opens up, and then the mouth starts to get higher again as it's closing. And here, when he's saying to, the height of the mouth kind of stopped it. It's moving kind of up, and then it gets to this height, and then it stops moving up. So I want it to keep moving up a little bit. So I'll just grab the Y value and move it up a bit. So now you can see it's moving up a little, and I guess here I'll move it up a little higher. So unfortunately, with the way my rig is set up, the height of the mouth doesn't necessarily correlate exactly to the value of the TY, of the translate Y. That's because I have other blend shape controls that are affecting the height of the mouth. And it's the same thing for the width of the mouth with the wide narrow controllers and the X value. It's not an exact one-to-one relationship. So working within the restrictions of the rig. So the flow through that seemed pretty good. Because here I'll move it up a little bit. So yeah, here it's kind of high, then it's opening, and then closing higher. And I actually just like the pose better. So I'll move on. I guess here too, I feel like maybe the mouth could be going up into the R shape. Maybe a little less, and also the teeth are getting kind of bucked, so I'll move those up a little bit. So, okay, so yeah, I feel like that flows better now too. It's high and closed in the F shape, then it lowers and widens, and then raises up a little bit as he closes. Well, kind of looks a little bit funny. I'll leave it for now, but that's just what I'm trying to do to establish the flow. So that seems good for the flow of the whole mouth, but now I'm going to do a quick pass on the corners and just make sure that the arcs are working pretty well. And I guess I'll use mostly the wides and the wide narrow controllers. So, well, I guess I'll start on one side. And now I'll scrub through and see how the corner arcs are doing. It seems a little too... Well, it's pretty good. I'll just keep going. Here I'll keep it going a little bit. Then here it narrows, and it probably doesn't need to. So I'll just widen it so it's... So I guess the corner was here, and then it goes down, and then guess maybe I'll widen that a little more. So, okay, an arc is starting to be established. It's not perfect, but it starts here and kind of goes down and up and curls back in. So that's a pretty good start of an arc for the corner. I guess that seems pretty good. There's a couple of spots where I'm going to end up adding more breakdowns, or just when I spline it, I'll work out the corner arcs a little bit more. But given just the step keys and the amount of keys I have, the arcs seem to be indicated. So I'll move on and see if there's anything I want to adjust on this corner. But I don't think you need to see me do that again, so I'm going to fast forward. So, okay, I think that's it. The mouth is kind of flowing. I've got some arcs established, and all the poses seem right. So I'll do a play blast and check out how it looks.
From 1 to 10, about 4. 5. From 1 to 10, about 4. 5.
And I'm pretty happy with where it is for the blocking pass. And again, I do see some things that I know I'm going to want to adjust, but a lot of those things have to do with timing more than posing, so those would be more easy to fix during the spline pass. So I'll hold off for the spline pass, which is coming next. And I definitely feel like it's an appropriate time to go ahead and spline the body. And I guess that's what I'm going to do now, off camera. And in the next video, I'll start with a spline body, and the mouth will be the same, still in stepped. And then with the spline body, I'll start to then spline the mouth, and that'll be the next phase and the next video.